Hello everyone, so you might have seen my community post talking about this facility in County Limerick. And it's been talked about a lot, especially in the international media at the moment, and rightly so. Because I did hear about this a few months ago that this was happening, that it wasn't happening maybe to the extent I thought it was, that it was happening maybe only about 5% of it was going to Russia. And of course, this material is like aluminium and alumina. I think that's how you would describe it. It's hard to say, but I'll put the article in the description here for you to have a look at. But a lot of people know what I'm talking about. So this is a Russian-owned company in County Limerick and produces obviously raw materials, and of course these raw materials can be used in missiles and in bombs, etc. And of course that 80% of it goes to Russia. 80% of this factory's raw materials that it produces goes to the Russian Federation to use the missiles and use the bombs. And of course, the main worry for me and the main worry for everybody in this country is that we are a military non-aligned country. And we shouldn't be helping any country with its military to bomb people, to kill people. We're not about that. This is a neutral country. We don't want anything to do with it. We're not on Russia's side. We're not on anybody's side. We're on the side of peace. That's what Ireland is. And Ireland's a neutral, non-aligned country and doesn't want to be involved. It doesn't want to have anything to do with killing people. And that's about that. We know our history. We had to go through it in our past and stuff, and we don't want that to happen to anybody else's country. And that's why you see us giving no aid to Ukraine, military aid, etc. Give, you take for example, financial aid or medical kits, etc., medical gear. That's under neutrality and under the rules of war. You're allowed to do that too, of course, obviously, humanitarian aid. That's what we should probably be doing in the way too. But I don't think this is a breach of neutrality, first of all. And I think the Irish government should be shutting this down. Now, I know people would say there's 1,000 jobs and something like that, but unless they're willing to sell it, and what I propose is that an Irish company comes in and buys it and keeps the jobs and stuff, because there'll be some Irish millionaires that would love to have a business like this and keep the jobs and stuff and give it to the Russians to give it back to an Irish businessman. But it should never happen in the beginning that a Russian businessman could come over here and buy a company, etc. And especially because it should have been done from day one, because again, when Russia did go in on Ukraine, and we could argue about all the facts, and we can argue about the whole shebang, basically, in regards to that. We could argue about all that until the cows come home. But the main thing is here that Russia did start this war, and that's the simple truth, that they did start it. They went in. We could argue about NATO, and we can argue about that till the cows come home. But it simply is the truth. They fired the first shot. And the simple truth is that we can't be doing this as a neutral country, and we can't do it to either side, because it's simple that these are weapons used as weapons of war to kill people, and it's not acceptable that Ireland would have any kind of role in this, that would be facilitating it in the way too. Now, I know the Irish government have said yesterday that it would hurt Ireland and hurt the European Union more than would hurt Russia. But I still think the fact of the matter is that a lot of countries, like take for example Finland, I'm very fond of Finland, and of course they've lost a lot of Russian tourists, particularly near the Russian border in Finland. And they've lost a lot of business in terms of Russia trading with Finland, etc., because they've cut basically all trade. And of course, a lot of Finnish people are struggling, and a lot of businesses have shut down, etc., because of that. And even take for example Estonia, the Baltic country, is the same. And I don't think it's fair on the rest of the countries in the European Union that Ireland continues to trade in this regard and make money, while other countries suffer, give up their trade with Russia and take financial hits. And again, we're one of the richest countries in the world. Ireland can take this financial hit. We don't need the money from Russia. We don't need it, as simple as that. We have enough money on our own. We don't need the Russian money. As simple as that. And I do think it's necessary, because it is a breach of neutrality to having this facility given this to Russia. I wouldn't mind if you were giving this to a non-aligned country that had literally, take for example, a country that is not in NATO, as say in Austria or Switzerland. Fair enough, because they're not a part of a military alliance. But yeah, I think it's a huge breach of neutrality, it's a huge breach of Ireland's neutrality, and it's a risk to every citizen, you, me, and everyone, every citizen of this country. And I personally wouldn't have let this happen if I was Taoiseach, and I wouldn't let it happen. As soon as they went in Ukraine, I wouldn't have let it happen. Because an Irish person could go and buy this now in the morning, but the government should probably buy it. That's what I would suggest. If they won't sell it to a private company, the government should claim it and give the money to the owner and say, here, look, we're buying it, and be property of the Irish state. Would probably be the best interest of the state and the people of Ireland. Because we can't allow this to continue. And again, there was a report done yesterday that 14 ships a month from Limerick go to Russia, St. Petersburg particularly, 14 ships worth of it. That's a lot. We're talking about a lot. And as I said, 80% of it goes from here to Russia. More less than what goes to the European Union. But I do think it's a breach of neutrality, and I do think we should look at it, because it isn't fair that other countries have to go by sanctions, and we should go by sanctions, because Russia is sanctioned by the international community, not just by the European Union, by the international community, for its role, etc. And the same goes for other countries that are sanctioned, like Iran, etc. That we shouldn't be doing any business at all with them. Simple truth, we have enough people in Europe, and take for example in Central Europe, etc. We could trade with, in the United States and Canada and other countries that think like us and the same kind of ideology, same kind of beliefs as us in the West, etc. But we don't need to be selling it to Russia, and I think Russia, in a lot of regards too, is taking advantage of this too. That they're taking advantage, because you think they would be saying we don't want to breach Ireland's neutrality, but they don't care. I don't think about it, because clearly this, like, no doubt, I think anybody would say that clearly no doubt that this puts Irish neutrality at risk. It does, and that's the main point I'm trying to get across here. That it kind of does, because God knows how much rockets have been used by Irish material, war material, to kill people in war. And we know by Israel too, that a lot of weapons of war went across this country to go to Israel to bomb people, particularly children, etc. And some other cases too of Irish companies, IT companies, given economic facilities to Israel to produce weapons too. We shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be doing it, no matter the money. As a Christian country too, we have a moral obligation as Christians. The majority of this country, 80%, nearly probably 90%, are still Catholic and believe in God. And the first commandment, thou shalt not kill. So was that, thou shalt not kill. And I think we've forgotten about that a lot in this country, that we are still a Catholic country. And thou shalt not kill should stand still in this country, because it's evil. Life is tough enough without causing more hardship on people, more worries on people, more bodies on people. It doesn't have anything. And I do hope the Irish government make the right decision here, because it's a stain on Ireland. It really, really is. It's a stain, and it's a stain on our neutrality too, that we're facilitating this, and we have for the last few years. And it's an unfortunate thing, and I'm deeply ashamed of it, to be genuine, as an Irish citizen. And it's deeply shameful, to be generally honest. And I'm not somebody that's pro-European Union and stuff, but I'm deeply shameful that this is a threat to Irish neutrality, etc. And this was allowed to continue, because at the end of the day, I think every Irish citizen will agree that we don't want to see people being killed, regardless of where they are. We don't want that. And that's why I say we have to up our game in terms of this, and definitely this shouldn't be allowed to continue. Let me know what you think. Subscribe more, and bye.